So today, I want to talk about one of the staples of early childhood education, which is blocks, right? And also, with early childhood education, many times we do focus on uh, preschool. Okay, so 3 and 4 year olds. We also focus on infants and toddlers, but even more importantly, sometimes is the primary grades, first, second, and third grade. Now, I know that sometimes those get lumped with elementary grades and they're treated like older children, but developmentally, they are much more like early childhood. They're much more like preschoolers and kindergartners than they are third, fourth, fifth graders. Okay. And that is kind of the foundation of my talk today. So the official title is Enhancing Learning Outcomes in Primary Education Through the Use of Block Play. That's kind of a coded title so that administrators think that we're talking about ways of assessment and things like that. But really, oh, is it this one? Oh, that one. Okay.
No, it's fine. You can use everything you want. That one, the arrow, everything.
But really, a better title is where are the blocks? And a case for more block play for children 6 and up. Now, the reason I can't use this title if I'm doing it for administrators is because it has the word play in it. And they don't like the word play because you can't really assess play. So they like things that have to do with assessment. So, oh, shoot, I pressed the wrong button. There we go. Okay, good. So we can think about when we talk about blocks, when we say blocks, there are lots of different things that come to mind. Okay, there are many different types of blocks. And in in primary grade or in preschool and kindergarten, we might see a lot of these different types of blocks. Most preschools and kindergartens, they are a staple. There's a block center. There's a whole part of the classroom that's set up for blocks. But when we get to first, second, third grade, we start to see that some of these types of blocks start to disappear. And what we're left with are things like Legos. Okay, and I don't have any problem with Legos, by the way. Okay, and these other blocks, they have uses too. But and again, I love playing with Legos. But the point is that these types of blocks disappear in first grade very abruptly, and we need to ask why. Why is it that these all of a sudden after kindergarten we decide that we don't really need these blocks? So what I want to say, what I want to talk about today is really these blocks, the ones that are very simple, all right, not high tech. They're usually made of wood. Actually, those are the best ones, right? The ones made of wood, they have tactile sensibility. They might be painted, they might be unpainted. These in the left-hand corner over here, these are actually Froebel's original blocks, the Froebel's Gifts and Occupations. And at the end, I'm going to come back to those as being important also. But again, with Froebel's blocks have been around forever, right? They were part of the original kindergarten curriculum that he developed. So, as I said, I love Legos, and I love technology too. Okay, so don't get me wrong in saying that I don't want technology in the classroom, or for example, I don't know if you know what that is. That's Scratch, which is a programming language for young children. They have Scratch Junior, which works for preschool kids and kindergartners. So, and it's a lot of fun and it's really good. But again, what we're going to talk about is the low tech play of building with blocks, right? Simple a simple material that's easy for teachers and children to understand. Sometimes, I love the robotics, the Lego robotics, but it does take some knowledge on the teacher's part to be able to teach the children how to do some of the coding and how to put some things together. And some teachers just really aren't willing to do that. The complexity is just too much. Whereas with just simple wooden blocks, well, those are very simple. But so why don't we see them in the preschool classroom? If the research on blocks is phenomenal. There's a lot of research on blocks that shows that they enhance spatial reasoning. They promote mathematical thinking, not just geometry, but also many of the other mathematical functions. They support problem solving and critical thinking. And by the way, if you read my paper, you can see all of these expanded on. So, these are just the references, but if you want to see the whole citation and what it is, you can go and read the paper. It encourages collaboration and communication, fosters creativity and imagination. It improves fine motor skills, eye-hand coordination, enhances engagement and motivation. It supports diverse learning styles because, again, when children come to play blocks, they play with them in the way that they want to play with them. Right? They may stack them. They may use their imagination and make a car. They may, they may see if they can stack it as high as possible. They may make a city. I mean, and it supports. They may even bang them together and make music. Okay, so it supports all these different learning styles because children are choosing what they want to do. Block play also fosters the development of critical thinking and problem-solving skills. It promotes creativity and imagination. It enhances spatial awareness, promotes social skills, promotes and those I've already talked about. But also, it promotes an understanding of STEM concepts and principles such as geometry, balance, stability, load-bearing structures. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and it's STEM and STEAM, which is where you add arts to it. These are big kind of buzzwords now in terms of what our children need. They need some STEM knowledge. So for the development of scientists later on, for the development of mathematics, these are things that we want to support. And if we want to support STEM in the classroom, not just in preschool and kindergarten. If we're talking about STEM in first, second, third grade, blocks are a great material to be able to do that. If you think about engineering, the E in STEM, that's what children are doing when they're building with blocks. They are engineering, and they're working with balance, stability, building load-bearing structures, and they're also doing city planning. If you've ever watched a kid playing with blocks and they're building a city, they're deciding whether the gas station is going to go next to the garage or whether the gas station is going to go next to the ice cream parlor, which probably wouldn't be a great idea, although that's usually where ice cream shops usually are. But they're making those decisions, okay? And these are decisions of an engineer, civil engineer, structural engineer, mechanical engineer. All of these things come back to blocks. So why don't we see them in primary grades? Where are they and why are they missing? And I have, in my paper, I give a number of different reasons, but I'm just going to focus on 3 of them today. So reason 1, and this is the one that I think is probably the biggest stumbling block, is that blocks are an informal material that relies on children's capacity for play and creativity. There aren't any objectives or lesson plans or standards or assessments which are so prevalent and quote unquote essential in schools for older children. First, second, and third grade in many countries, I know this is true in the United States, testing is a big part of when you get into the numbered grades for second and third grade. And because of that, teachers have resistance against taking time, and playing with blocks is going to take time. You know, you need to have a half hour, 45 minutes of time for children to have some free choice play time with the blocks. You can't build a city in 5 minutes, you know, because then you barely can get the blocks out and put them away in 5 minutes. You have to have an extended period of time when there's no teacher direction necessarily. There aren't any tests. There aren't, you're not learning specific objectives. And that is hard. That's a hard sell for schools and a hard sell for teachers. And I, you know, was listening to other presentations where they had many of the same problems, not just with blocks, but that trying to train teachers to allow children to just play, outdoor play, indoor play, and that the teachers were so worried about tests that they had problems with allowing children time to play anything. Okay, so having time for put aside to play with blocks is a big stumbling block. The idea of play in first, second, and third grade, in kindergarten and preschool, we you know, play is allowed because those are, you know, that's not real school yet, and I'm being sarcastic, okay, but you know, that's children, people don't think that that's real school yet, so that's all right, let them play. Although, as we'll see, that's not always the case either. But when we get into first, second, and third grade, there's this sense that, okay, now's the time that we're going to start learning stuff. You know, we have to have a textbook, we have to have we have to have objectives, we have to have lesson plans, and it's tough to do that when you just say, well, my children are gonna play blocks. Okay, what are you gonna do? Where's the lesson plan? Where are the objectives? So this is a quote from one of the researchers in the paper. So yet play, science, and engineering are interconnected, essential ingredients of quality education programs throughout the age span. Teachers can introduce their preschool and elementary school classrooms vetted, playful curriculum that with teacher scaffolding using cross-cutting concepts foster the development of students' science and engineering practice. And this is on page 88 and 89 of this book. All right, so reason number two, and this kind of goes along with reason number one, is the emphasis on standardized testing. When children get into first, second, and third grade, they begin a battery of tests, standardized tests. And again, this is in the United States, and I believe it's true in many other countries too. Children are required to pass tests to show that the teacher is teaching them what they need to be taught, and that the students are staying on grade level, and that they're staying where they need to be. So we just love to test children, and we love to evaluate and use assessments and those types of things. And blocks don't fall into that that paradigm of assessment. It's not something that you can assess, that you can say, let's give you a test on playing blocks. You don't have that. So so a shift towards this emphasis on standardized testing, which has been pushed lower and lower in ages. This shift leads to a more rigid curriculum that focuses on measured academic skills and knowledge that can be assessed directly through tests. And consequently, activities that are less directly linked to testable outcomes like block play may receive less emphasis. So that's reason number two, that I think that we start to see that we don't always see blocks in the older grades. And reason three, as I said before, I don't have a problem with technological innovations in the classroom and using computers and using robotics and using all that stuff. I write about that also, and my own children probably have uh, more technology than is probably good for them, but uh, but we don't have, everything doesn't have to be technology. When we talk about STEM, that T for technology does not have to be an electronic technology. You can think of blocks as a technology. They are a building technology. Children are learning about many different STEM concepts through this technology. Okay, so it's not an electronic technology, but it can be very useful in teaching them a lot of those concepts. And then this brings us to the Froebel blocks and Froebel and design education, because this set of blocks is so famous that MIT and other design education architecture programs use these with their college students to teach them design principles. Now, I know that there have been presentations and professionals here that are experts on design education. And I would, if any of you are here, I'd love to hear from you. But using these simple blocks to teach them design principles, and in terms of shape, form, function, and beauty, and all those different, they give them these blocks, and then they give them tasks to do in terms of building houses or designing certain things, and they say this is what you have to express or to complete the task. And one of the people that is oftentimes talked about with this is Frank Lloyd Wright. Was a big proponent of these Froebel's gifts. He went to a Froebelian kindergarten when he was a kid, and many people make very huge links between Frank Lloyd Wright and his use of these Froebel blocks. And so you can kind of see the blocks are here on the left at the top. How you could probably build with the blocks, and then Frank Lloyd Wright's house, which again has many of the design sensibilities that are based directly on those very simple forms and shapes from the Froebel blocks. And then also another gift was the folding of paper. But then again, if you look at one of his office space designs, you can see a direct link between that design sensibility that goes with Froebel and Frank Lloyd Wright. So playing with blocks is not just for children. It's used to teach very high-end design concepts. So there's no reason why it shouldn't be in first, second, and third grade also. So engineering play is a framework for understanding young children's block building as an engineering design process that parallels the materials-based problem solving of adult professionals. The engineering design process is a theoretical model for decision-making processes adults engage in as they create and transform ideas into functional products. It involves establishing and solving a problem through object manipulation and construction, meeting goals, developing plans and prototypes, trial and error testing and evaluation, and communicating various thoughts and approaches. And then just to wrap up, we've talked about first, second, and third grade. And as I hinted at earlier, preschool and kindergarten classrooms are not safe from having blocks taken out of their environment also. Because of the push down of the testing, we're starting to see things disappear even in those grades. David Elkind wrote in a report for the Alliance for Childhood that early childhood education over the last half century has become downward extension of schooling. We have seen this have an especially drastic effect on kindergarten. So That's the end of my presentation. If you want my contact information, you can scan the QR code there, and I'll open up the floor for any questions. Thank you.